So we'll come to Gateway 1. We'll check this box that says data loss prevention. Okay, so having checked it, we're going to see a data loss prevention blade wizard. We'll click on next. Now we're going to input our domain, the email domain. Well, in your case, you can use your official domain, but for this lab, we're going to be using example.local. We'll click on next. Now it is going to ask us to enter the different names and phrases that are used to identify the organization name. So in addition to example, I'm going to be adding Gresitech. Okay, so having done this, then I'll click on next. We're going to activate DLP portal for self-incident handling. So in cases where users are trying to send sensitive information and they've been blocked, however, they have genuine reasons for such, they can visit the DLP self-incident handling portal and then they'll be asked to give reasons why they want to send that file. However, after sending it, you, the administrator, you're going to be notified of their activities and everything. You'll see the reasons, you'll get a mail regarding that. Also, if you do not want them to have access to the self-incident handling portal, you can disable that so that any particular file that is categorized as being sensitive would forever remain blocked so that users cannot send such sensitive information. Okay, we'll need to select our mail server. In your environment, you can use your official mail server, but because this is a test environment, we are going to be selecting our Windows server. So I'll just call this my mail. Okay, let me call this my test underscore mail server, mail underscore server. Then I'll select my Windows server as my mail server also. And then I'll change this to, let's change this to say John Paul at example dot local. Then I'll click on OK. Having done this, we'll click on next. For the protocols, we want DLP to be applied for emails. So when users are trying to send emails, Checkpoint is going to scan such emails to ensure that they are not sending sensitive information. For example, credit card numbers or source codes or very sensitive information that they are not permitted to. So if a user does not have the authorization, okay, such user cannot send that kind of information. So only managers and the rest. Okay, so for emails, we want to scan emails, we want to scan web, so we want to scan HTTP traffic, and we also want to scan FTP. So we'll select all three options. We'll click on next, and then we'll click on finish. Okay, so just to check, we can click on data loss prevention. We can see everything here. We can, okay, so as you can see, it has been enabled. You can see the mail server, mail, okay. And then for the protocols, if you check, our protocols are SMTP, email, web, and FTP. Okay, so we're going to click on OK. Now, to enable DLP, we need to come to Security Policies. Okay, so when we click on Security Policies, then we'll come down to Shared Policies, and then you can see your DLP. So we're going to open DLP in the Smart Dashboard. We'll wait for this to come up. Let's check. Let's be sure. Let's wait for this to come up. Okay, so it has come up. Now, the very first thing that we're going to do, as you can see, will be to click on my organization. So we can see the domain name or the email address. So you can put several email addresses. For example, you can put maybe John Paul at example the local. So you can add as many email addresses as possible or domain list. After you're done with that, we want this to be applicable to all the interfaces of the DLP Gateway. So what we are saying is that we want this to be applicable to this LAN. Okay, so this is a DLP gateway. This is another DLP gateway. So we want this to be applicable to all the interfaces behind the gateway. That is 15.1. Okay, so another thing that we can do would be to make this applicable to all users, all VPN traffic. We can see the organization name, which we earlier selected. When we selected example, the local, okay, so you can see the organization name, you can see search list. You can specify the data or the data owners as well. Okay, so for the data owners are people that are going to be notified whenever there is a breach of policy. So you can add as many the data owners as possible. Okay, so if you want to run advanced machine using scripts, you can do that. Okay, so we're going to say that data is going to be matched if it contains one keyword or phrase. So if a user inputs this word Grazitech, or okay, we can actually add more phrases as well. Okay, so that when the checkpoint is going to search for such phrases, and then checkpoint will either block or permit traffic based on that. So having done this, we're going to come to policy. Now under policy, you would observe that we have lots of policies that were created by default and they are nice. Okay, now let's search for credit card. Okay, so for credit card, okay, we can actually minimize this. Okay, now for credit card, we're going to change this from detect to prevent. Okay, so we want to stop users from uploading credit card details. Okay, so let's say this is a bank and we do not want members of staff to upload or to leak anybody's credit card number. So we can set this. Okay, if you have financial reports that you do not want them to leak, you can also set this as well. You can block that. You can do for many. Okay, and then if you want to create your own policy, all you need to do is click on this icon up here to create a policy. Then you can give it a name. So you select the data type that you're trying to block, whether you're trying to block archive files or exe files or card numbers or anything whatsoever. Okay, so let's say maybe I want to block JPEG, maybe pictures. Okay, maybe if I'm a photographer and I want to stop members of my staff from uploading pictures without permission, or anybody whosoever from taking screenshots and sending it out of the organization. Okay, so the source, I've selected images. The source is going to be organization. Destination is going to be outside the organization. For the protocol, I'll leave it as any. Exceptions, none. Action is going to be changed to prevent. Okay, prevent and blocked. Okay, so having done this, we can change the severity level to critical, and then we can leave it as it is. Then we're going to save what we've done. So having configured our policy, the very next thing that we'll do will be to come down to additional settings, and then we'll select protocols. So for protocols, we're going to check HTTP. We'll also check FTP. And then for HTTPS, we'll click on configure, and then we'll ensure that the gateways are selected. Okay, so having done this, we can also come down to advanced. Okay, we're going to check. If you want, you can also check this. So there are lots of things that you could do. You could say, okay, fine, send notification via email or via web, as the case may be. You can also check as many things as you want to do. You save what you've done, and after saving it, we're going to install our policy. Okay, so we've saved this. We can then close this, and then we're going to install our policy.